For centuries, there has been an ancient practice, a technique so powerful and so transformative that it was deliberately kept hidden, not because it was dangerous, but because it worked too well, offering a direct key to unlocking the most sacred gateway of all, the memory of your own soul. The greatest deception ever perpetrated on humanity wasn't making us ignorant. It was convincing us we were something we are not. But what if, today, you could lift that veil? What if, instead of searching for your purpose outside of yourself, you could finally awaken a voice inside you that never truly left? In this video, we are not just telling a story. We are offering an invitation to forbidden practice. Forbidden not because it is dark, but because it shines too brightly for systems that prefer souls to remain asleep. Stay with me as we explore its hidden origins, why it was suppressed, and how you can use it to remember who you truly are, a living, eternal consciousness. This video is not just a story, it is an invitation, a guide to a practice once considered forbidden, and those who hold power in this world have always feared an awakened soul more than a sleeping army. In the next few minutes, we will explore the hidden origins of this technique, its deep roots in forgotten schools of wisdom, and why it was systematically suppressed, changed, or mocked by systems that thrive when souls remain asleep. Most importantly, we will explore how you can use it practically to remember who you really are, not just an identity or a story you've been told, but the vibration, a living, eternal consciousness. This is not a theoretical lesson. It is an inner experience. If you are willing to listen with more than just your ears. Because this technique isn't something you memorize, it is something you feel, activate, and ultimately remember. So, if you are ready to look beyond the surface, to question what you have been told about yourself, and to walk toward what your soul has always known, this video could be the very spark you need, the hidden common thread. Almost every ancient culture on Earth shares a common, quiet whisper that spans continents and centuries, the idea that human beings have forgotten who they really are, that this life, as we know it, is like a dream, a beautiful and convincing veil separating us from our true, divine selves, and, most importantly, that there are specific paths and practices designed to gently awaken us from this dream and restore that sacred memory. But here is the catch. These practices are not often found in mainstream history books, in our schools, or in many organized religions. Over time, they were hidden, they were banned, or they were twisted into superstitions, mocked and symbolically locked away so that the average person could not tap into their real, transformative power. For example, in the secret chambers of ancient Egypt, the priests of the houses of life guided initiates through a symbolic death and rebirth. Their bodies would rest for hours while their consciousness was skillfully guided through subtle spiritual realms by a master. When they returned, they were irrevocably changed. They had crossed the veil and remembered their eternal nature. In the philosophical schools of ancient Greece, the Orphics described the soul as being temporarily trapped in the body, not in a pessimistic way, but as part of a sacred journey of purification. They taught specific chants, breathing techniques, and trance states that allowed the soul to temporarily free itself from its earthly identity and glimpse its divine origin. This experience, they said, was not only revealing but irreversible, and in the ancient forests of India, the wise seers, or rishis, taught the concept of smarana, the sacred act of remembering what the soul already knows. To them, spiritual ignorance wasn't about a lack of information but about being disconnected from our source. The way back, they taught, wasn't about collecting more external knowledge, but about unlearning, detaching internally, practicing silence, and aligning one's vibrations to bring consciousness back to its original, pure state. Across all of these powerful examples, the essence of the technique was the same, even if the forms differed. It was never about learning something new from the outside. It was always about reconnecting with the spiritual memory buried deep inside. Then, a shadow fell over this wisdom. Religious walls, the rise of institutionalized spirituality, and the consolidation of external control over inner truth began. What was once a direct path to remembrance became twisted into empty rituals. Rigid dogma, or branded as dangerous heresy, the techniques were broken apart, their symbols hidden in myths, and their core teachings sealed off as dangerous. But dangerous to whom? They were dangerous to the systems that do not want you to remember your own power. Because once a soul remembers who it truly is, it can no longer be controlled. Today, this knowledge is resurfacing, not as something new, but as a memory awakening in the hearts of those who are ready to receive it. And the most amazing part, this so-called forbidden technique has always been inside of you, resting in the deepest parts of your consciousness, just waiting for you to recognize it. The mechanics of soul remembrance. To understand the power of this forbidden technique, we first need to rethink something fundamental. The soul does not need to learn who it is, it needs to remember. And that memory does not come from thinking, analyzing, or reading. It comes from activating a specific vibration, a unique frequency. When that frequency is activated inside of you, all that is false begins to crumble and fall away, and all that is true shines forth like a quiet, steady light. But how do you reach that frequency? The forbidden technique is not a set of words to be chanted or an external ritual to be performed. It is a profound internal process, a series of steps that align your body, your mind, your energy, and your consciousness, until, through the principle of resonance, your soul's memory appears, not as an idea, but as a living, breathing experience. Imagine your soul is a perfect, divine melody, a unique song that only you can sing. But over a lifetime, that melody has been covered by layers of noise and interference, the static of outside beliefs, the dissonance of past traumas, and the cacophony of social conditioning. This ancient technique works like a master sound engineer. It doesn't add anything new to your song. It simply, skillfully, begins to remove what is blocking the original sound. It polishes the frequency and brings everything into a state of profound harmony. And as it does this, that original, beautiful melody begins to play again, faintly at first, and then with undeniable clarity. This technique has three main phases. While they don't always happen in a strict, linear order, they are all essential to the process. Phase 1. Deprogramming the false self. This is the most courageous and essential first step. It is the act of becoming a detective in your own mind. It means identifying the voices inside you that are not truly yours, the faults you accepted without questioning, the fears you inherited from your family, the masks you wear to be accepted. You observe your inner world deeply and ask, is this thought, this desire, this fear really mine, or was it put upon me by someone else? The technique teaches you to clear out these old mental habits, not by fighting them, but by seeing them so clearly that they lose their power over you. Phase 2. Activating the inner sense. As the noise of the false self begins to fade, something you have always possessed but rarely noticed begins to awaken, your inner sense. This is not logic, and it is not emotion. It is a form of direct, intuitive perception. You don't force it awake. You tune into it. The technique helps you awaken this sense using ancient tools, mindful breathing that stills the mind, silent rituals that focus intention, and powerful visualizations that act as a bridge between worlds. Phase 3. Resonance with your true name. Deep spiritual traditions from around the world speak of the soul's hidden or true name. This is not a word spoken aloud, but a unique core vibration. This technique teaches that every being has this sacred frequency when you finally learn to call upon it correctly, not with your mouth, but by embodying a certain state of pure, open being. You instantly recognize it. It is a homecoming. It's like a door that has been closed for centuries suddenly swinging open. You don't remember with your mind. You remember with your entire vibration. You feel a powerful certainty. This is me. I have always been this. I just forgot. This profound process doesn't happen overnight. It requires dedication, honesty, and a deep commitment to your own truth. But once it begins, something irreversible happens. A part of you, the true you, begins to watch your life from a deeper, calmer, and more real place. That is when the real journey truly begins. As this technique takes root and the layers of the false self begin to weaken, your inner vibration clears. Your soul starts to remember, not with thoughts, but with a feeling, a knowing that resonates through your entire being. It's like a single, pure light turning on in a room you've always inhabited but never truly explored. But what are the first things that appear in this newfound light? What are the tangible signs and synchronicities that begin to manifest in your outer world as a reflection of this deep inner shift? That is what we will uncover next. What appears in that newfound light are not just ideas, but presences, the lost parts of yourself, waiting patiently to be seen again, the you who loves unconditionally, the you who trusts without fear, and the you who knows without ever needing to learn. At this stage, the awakening becomes real and tangible as the soul starts recognizing its divine origins. But there is a quiet, sacred warning. Not everything you discover in the light of your unconsciousness is easy to face. When you remember who you truly are, you must also recall who you are not. The mistakes, The unfinished choices and the unhealed wounds will come to the surface. This is a vital and unavoidable part of the process. It is not a punishment. It is the ultimate act of freedom. You cannot embrace your whole soul without having the courage to face your own shadow. When practiced well, this technique reveals not just your innate light, but also everything you have hidden, even from yourself. That is why many ancient traditions warned that this practice is dangerous for the unprepared beginner, not because it is evil, but because facing your own soul with total honesty requires a spiritual maturity not measured in years, but in your unwavering willingness to face the truth. As practitioners go deeper, they often enter what can be called a conscious trance. This is not the trance of psychology, where you lose yourself, nor is it a hypnotic state. It is, in fact, a state of expanded awareness. It is the moment the soul gently takes charge of your perception. You feel your body, you are aware of your surroundings, but you also notice everything from a slight, peaceful distance. You still think, but your thoughts no longer control you. It's as if your true consciousness has taken a single step back from the frantic machinations of your ego. From this quiet, observant place, everything gains a new and profound meaning. Your emotions become clearer, your perception widens, time itself feels more fluid and less rigid. Sudden intuitions arise without any logical cause, and knowledge you never studied in this life seems to surface, as if carried with you from ancient times. This is the deepest part of the technique. It is no longer about practicing something. It is about living from this new state of being. You begin to make decisions from a new center, not wearing masks, but acting from your authentic self. And here is the paradox. The soul doesn't learn who it is. It simply remembers. This memory isn't a picture or a story, but a steady, familiar vibration that is instantly recognized as home. This is where the most sacred thing happens. The soul finally settles. And once that happens, nothing is ever the same again. Integrating the remembrance, the 5 living principles, awakening is not a one-time event. It is a continuous practice. Even a brief, powerful moment of deep inner revelation doesn't mean you will automatically live in that state forever. The technique we've discussed isn't just a spiritual experience. It is a compass for daily life. Bringing it into your day-to-day existence is what turns seekers into wise ones, and routine into sacred ritual. True spiritual power isn't about finding enlightenment in a quiet cave. It's about staying awake in the middle of all the noise. Here are 5 living principles to help you do just that. First, practice active silence. The soul remembers best in silence. This is not just the absence of external sound, but an inner silence of full, undivided attention. Take a few minutes each day, no matter how busy you are, to just be with yourself. Don't seek anything. Don't expect visions. Simply breathe, watch, and allow. This time is not just rest. It is a sacred sanctuary. It is the space where the faint echo of your true name begins to grow clear. Second, turn your actions into ceremony. One of the keys to maintaining this awakened state is to make your everyday actions a form of moving prayer. Eating, walking, talking, listening. If you do these things from your centered, soul-level awareness, they become acts of remembrance. Every gesture can be an offering. Every word can be an invitation to truth. Ask yourself throughout the day, am I acting from a mask or from my soul? When you live from your soul, even the smallest things become sacred. Third, be mindful of what you feed your mind. Your soul does not forget, but your conscious mind can easily bury that memory under a flood of digital distractions and negative information. What do you watch? What conversations do you participate in? What images do you allow to repeat in your mind? This technique teaches that everything that enters through your senses shapes your inner vibration. Care for your attention like a skilled alchemist tending a sacred fire. Fourth, speak less and speak from deeper within. In a world full of noise, learn the power of your own silence. Don't just repeat what you have read. Don't use other people's words to describe your own truth. Don't talk out of nervous habit. When you do choose to speak, let your voice arise from the place where your soul lives. Words spoken from a place of deep remembrance have the power to awaken others. Fifth, act as if you already know who you are, even if you haven't fully remembered yet. Begin to live like you have. This is not about pretending or being inauthentic. It is about tuning your instrument. The soul does not fully reveal itself when it senses constant doubt. It emerges when it sees you are willing to live in alignment with your deepest truth. Even before you fully understand it, walk like you carry an ancient legacy inside you. Love like you have loved for centuries. And remember, the remembrance you seek doesn't come from more searching. It comes through your own vibration. For centuries, we have been told that awakening is hard, that the soul is a complex mystery we can never understand, and that knowing who we truly are is a privilege reserved for a select few. But that is not the truth. The most forbidden truth of all isn't complicated. It is profoundly simple, direct, and close, and most of all, it is the one truth that those who want you to stay asleep fear the most. This journey we have started together is not just a collection of ideas. It is a map, a signal, a torch for those who sense there is something more, something beyond the name you say every day, beyond the role you play, beyond the story you have been told about yourself. You are not that. You never were. You are a vibrant, irreplaceable part of eternal consciousness, a single, perfect note in a cosmic symphony that is still playing. You are an ancient memory, dressed in the clothing of the present moment. And you forgot, we all forgot, but here is the key. You can remember. The technique we have talked about isn't a new invention or a secret formula to be bought. It is a reflection of what has always been dormant inside you. You do not need to search for it outside of yourself. You do not need gurus or to be perfect. You just need to return to your center, quiet the noise, and allow your soul, which is full of infinite wisdom, to show you what it has always known. Remembering who you are doesn't just change how you think. It fundamentally changes how you see the world. You stop seeing enemies and start seeing mirrors. You stop fearing the future and start honoring the sacred present. You stop repeating the broken stories of your past and begin writing a new chapter from a place of unshakable truth. When that truth comes alive in you, everything changes. You stop needing approval from others because you are connected to something infinitely greater. You stop needing all the answers because your own silence has grown wise. You stop chasing love because you realize, in your very bones, that you are love. This is not an empty promise. It is an invitation that requires immense courage to accept, because the soul's path of remembering is beautiful, but it is not always comfortable. It will strip away everything that isn't truly you, so that you can finally choose who you really are. If this message has touched you, if something deep inside you has stirred, if a part of you has said, "Yes, this is for me," then do not let your mind snuff out that sacred spark. Subscribe to this channel. If this video reached your core, hit the like button and share it with anyone in your life who you feel needs to remember their own light. Because there is no revolution greater or more peaceful than that of an awakened soul. You are not here on this earth merely to learn. You are here to remember, and that process of remembering has already begun.